When it comes to potential, Mexico is one country that can possibly disrupt the global stage. As the 13th largest nation on Earth, boasting an expansive nearly 2,000-mile border with the United States, Mexico is an undeniable presence that cannot be overlooked. Within Central America, it reigns as the largest country, and its cultural influence extends far and wide, touching lives across the globe. While familiar to millions, Mexico seems to remain relatively absent from the spotlight of global news. Could this be attributed to its standing as a non-major world power? Do the projections that Mexico will become a top free economy hold any water? Well, stick with us to find out. Mexico's blooming economy. In the grand scale of global might, Mexico is positioned as the 30th most powerful country. Its substantial population, semi-developed economy, and a per capita income of $18,170 contribute to its status as a moderately powerful nation. Yet, this merely scratches the surface, and to gain a true understanding of Mexico's potency, we must dive even deeper. One pivotal query in figuring out Mexico's strength is to gauge its overall power relative to other influential nations worldwide. Positioned as a mid-tier world power, Mexico wields a level of moderate global influence and has held a significant sway in the Americas. Nonetheless, when viewed on the international stage, Mexico's power can be described as moderately influential. There are several factors that play a role in determining a nation's power, and encompassing economic size, population, military prowess, cultural and artistic impact, and the country's role in international diplomacy. In the case of Mexico, its GDP stands at a formidable $1.07 trillion and rising, securing its position as the 16th largest economy globally. Classified as an upper middle income country, Mexico holds the status of a developing nation, although it displays partial industrialization and boasts moderate infrastructure across most regions. With their per capita income of $18,170, Mexicans rank far below their counterparts in most developed nations, but enjoy a higher standard of living compared to the global average. All in all, Mexico's economy and level of development position it as a mid-tier global power. With a population soaring above 128 million people, Mexico proudly claims its spot as the 10th most populous country in the world. This places Mexico in a significant position as a world player, at least in terms of its population size. The Mexican army marches strong with over 200,000 frontline soldiers, making it a force to be reckoned with at the 27th position in the Global Military League. And hey, let's not forget their Air Force, boasting more than 80 combat aircrafts, which is some serious aerial muscle. Despite this, the absence of main battle tanks and the limited size of Mexico's navy hampered its ability to exert global military influence, consequently constraining its overall strength on the world stage. However, Mexico's cultural mojo knows no bounds. From mouth-watering tacos to foot-tapping music, captivating films, and mesmerizing art, they've got the world under their spell. You can find a piece of Mexico in practically every corner of the globe, bringing people together like one big spicy fiesta. This cultural connection fosters a significant sense of affinity with Mexico amongst people globally, providing the nation with a degree of global power. Indeed, Mexico's cultural reach stands as one of its greatest strengths. Speaking of strengths, diplomacy is their game, and Mexico plays it like a pro. With 67 embassies scattered across the entire world, they're building bridges and connections left and right. They've also got some serious influence in international organizations like the United Nations. Although Mexico's role in international diplomacy holds sway, it falls short from decisively influencing global affairs. But let's not get carried away here. As much as we adore Mexico's flair, they're not quite in the global superpower league just yet. While they've got their charm and charisma, they lack the all-around power to call the shots on the world stage. And they might not have it for a long time. Throughout history, Mexico has never been deemed a global superpower. Mexico's manufacturing dominance. Mexico is like a super popular hotspot for foreign investors who want to mix things up and diversify their manufacturing game. How popular, do you ask? Well, to put into perspective, since 1999, over 13,000 companies have scored massive returns on their investments by setting up shop in Mexico and reaping all the sweet benefits that the country provides. And as more companies jump on the Mexico bandwagon, they attract a load of supply chain partners. Once they set up shop, they're able to beef up the operational infrastructure for major players in different industries. It's easily a win-win situation. Also, these big players are setting up manufacturing hubs close to their main markets. So naturally, Mexico continues to be the talk of the town for the growing global economy. Mexico is also best buds with the United States when it comes to trade. A massive 76.5% of Mexican exports head straight up north to their American neighbors. Setting up shop in Mexico gets manufacturers some sweet perks too, like super affordable shipping to the US. For example, it takes just 1 week and $1,800 to ship a 40-foot container from Mexico to the US, compared to a whopping $4,300 and a 5-week wait from China. While being best buddies in trade with a global superpower like the US is definitely helpful, Mexico still has an impressive trade game worldwide. In 2018 alone, Mexico shipped a mind-blowing $450.9 billion worth of products to every corner of the globe. They've got more free trade agreements than LeBron James entering free agency, making them BFFs with over 50 countries, including Europe, South America, and Africa. These free trade agreements smash any trade barriers, making it a piece of cake to swap goods and services. Mexico is also benefiting from the recent trend of regionalized production. With all of the trade drama happening in China, companies are becoming more wise to the idea of spreading their manufacturing love across multiple locations in Mexico. Regionalized production is the growing practice of dispersing one's manufacturing hubs across multiple locations within a specific region or country, rather than concentrating production in a single location. This trend offers companies increased flexibility and reduced risk, especially in response to disruptions in supply chains and global trade. This is kind of like what Elon does with Tesla and their gigafactories, strategically spreading them all over the world. Though, contrary to popular belief, Mexico's trade dominance is not just about those low labor costs. They've got a bunch of highly skilled and trained people working really hard within those industrial clusters. Mexico's all about that manufacturing life, and they're dead serious about investing in their workforce's education and training. These guys are absolute pros when it comes to sophisticated manufacturing techniques. You can thank all the training programs that hook them up with the technical expertise and hands-on experience needed for the job. Plus, with the US-Mexico-Canada agreement in the mix, they'll be cranking up those wages slowly over time. These are a few out of the many moves to help companies keep and attract more of those top-notch workers, which means the whole industry will soon be hitting each of those productivity and growth goals in no time. Why Mexico will not be the next China. The interesting thing about Mexico is that it has some real strengths that make it stand out, but at the same time, there are a number of things holding it back from being a major power like China or the United States. Let's break it down a bit, shall we? First off, the whole development crisis. Mexico is still labeled as a developing country, and that means there's around 55.7 million people living in poverty. That's a whopping 43% of the population. And some parts of the country don't have all the fancy infrastructure you'd expect. The level of development in Mexico is a major obstacle stopping it from reaching the top-tier world power status. Now, here comes another not-so-fun part: corruption. It's a major issue in Mexico, ranking 56th in the Global Corruption Index. That's not good news at all. Rampant corruption within a country is a big roadblock, messing with the country's potential to be a real global player. And to make matters worse, Mexico also has its fair share of internal conflicts too. In 2018 alone, nearly 40,000 people lost their lives in armed violence. Who's to blame for most of this? Those drug cartels and gangs that continue to contribute to the ongoing chaos. Even with the amount of effort the Mexican government has put into extinguishing what seems to be a never-ending fire, they still continue to struggle to take full control of some key regions. All of this internal mess puts a real burden on Mexico's chances to shine on the global stage. However, despite all this, Mexico still maintains some real soft power, and it continues to play a significant cultural role in the world. But when it comes to influencing global affairs, it's kinda got its hands tied at the moment. Unfortunately, Mexico just can't make things happen the way it wants at the moment. The country may find itself needing to work with other nations, sometimes even compromising on its own interests, in order to get where they wish to be in the future. Also, the lack of global influence is yet another weight pulling Mexico down, something they need to work through or around to keep its country and people moving in the right direction. If Mexico can tackle these challenges, build on its strengths, and strategize better global affairs, there's no doubt it can skyrocket on the world scene as a dominant force. It's just a matter of finding that right balance. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe for more. Where money matters, we'll see you on the next one.